Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon where you live around the world. This is another short video. We're back to where we had the two conventionally drawn domes. The one that's the norm that we see so often, and what I'm classing as my method number 2. And now we've got the output in this model of method number 3, which is the quadro geometry. This one has the shorter legs than any of these other ones, and to be fair, I will have to create iterations of these domes with a similar length leg. But you can straight away see the slope. I've zoomed out for a reason, because we're going to look at these in a moment, but you can see the gentleness of the slope of the curvature of the opening compared to these ones. The leggy ones, of course, are going to have a much harsher angle change. This is the surface that we lifted up a quarter. If we just zoom in now, a quarter of the length of this line here. Really need to create another one more similar to this, but when we zoom in a moment, we'll have a look at how similar the hexagons are between the two models. After finishing the last video, and I was saying how easy it was to draw the new version, the quadro geometry dome, I actually thought, hey, to be truthful, it's easier than either of these two. There's a lot less involved. You got to know the sequence and what we do to achieve it, but then so too with these. You know, you have to generate the triangles, the segmented surfaces, create the line arrays or the porcupine. You have to have the surfaces here, or planes here, that allow us to truncate the surfaces of the normal dome. But in this one, if you know where and how to generate the arcs, then I think it is actually easier method with little downsides, unless it's the aesthetics that you're worried about, as I was constantly banging on about having the lines creating that gentle curvature. So for the moment, I'll just get rid of all these. I'll hide those. I'll remove the perspective, and I'll go to the plan view, and this is the method 2 and the new method. This certainly shows up the grid-like pattern, and for want of any purposeful differences, they look similar. Okay, as I said, we haven't got this zigzag because we've got the straight, but they overall look quite similar. So it's no surprise that when we look at the hexagons, they look similar. I'll take the parallel projection off, zoom back in, and I'll move this one a little bit closer for our comparison. Might as well grab the base as well. Just want to mate it up there. So now that when we're looking at it, we can see how similar the dome itself is. So this shouldn't be any great surprise, because really this line that we've got running through here is a bit of an amalgam of in and out lines when you see it in the plan view. We'll go back to our parallel projection. Oops, don't want to do that. Parallel projection there with the plan view. So when we're looking at these, they almost, other than this line deviation, almost look identical, because the small movement in there and out there kind of neutralize themselves, and therefore makes it look like this. Here I still say this is the most pleasing view, but with the downside of this line and the distortion of the balance between the relative 6 surfaces. I lend myself to this version now, not this one. Back to the plan view. This is the one I've been trying to achieve. I've come to the conclusion any of them would be fine. If there's anything that's more beneficial for having this set up, I'll go with that. This version, again, nothing wrong with it, but is there anything about it that makes it so superior that you'd want to go with it? I've got the feeling either one of these would be just fine. Now, front view. This is a little bit lower because of, as I said, slightly different degree that I lifted the base. Let's just lift this up for a moment. So when we're looking at it, the gentleness of this is pleasing, but we could probably achieve it here. As I said earlier, the shortening of the leg would probably give a similar sort of curvature to the opening. I'll just take a guide. The apex of this is a little bit higher than the apex in here, which would certainly go to lend itself to the idea that this is slightly less peaky, a gentler curve, as I keep on referring. So all in all, I think the parallel, the Quadro version, is nudging ahead of its competition as far as the looks go. No downside in the hexagon, a wider strut at this point here, a lot wider line, and if I take the parallel projection off, it will be interesting to see the dihedral angle between this dome and if I shorten the leg on this version. Lots of hesitation when I'm making this video. It's mainly because I think that I'm trying to make a point of preference for one over the other, and I really can't say that the Quadro version will be the winner in the choice. But when I go to model these two, which I've only modeled or started to model this version, I want to see how the differences manifest when I start to generate the planes and struts and hubs, etc. If there is a better, how would you say, smoothness in the creation of the hubs, that may dictate which one I go with. So a lot of work ahead of me. I won't be making videos of those. I'll probably show you the outcomes of those, but that is, making the individual hubs and struts for these two styles of domes. But I have to settle upon a preference, a 6 meter base for the dome. Have a look at the relative heights and shapes and the dihedral angles. I do want to retain some additional strength via the larger angle. I don't want, as I've been saying, I don't want this to become a weak point. Rightio, that's it. Didn't really cover anything particularly new or riveting, but I think having the 3 methods shown starts to allow us to make a reasonable judgment about what we're doing for the future. Okie dokie, that's it. See you later. Bye.